Someone just recently asked me, how do you get your first customers for your SaaS? Such a great point, but where do you even start? I've been building SaaS companies for 20 years now, and I'm going to show you the 3 pillars that we've used to get customers regardless of the funding level. So whether that's early on in the business, if you're VC funded, or if you've got cash and you're living the dream. These methods work all together as an ecosystem. So all 3 of them are essential. So first up is cold outreach. Inside of the bucket of cold outreach is physical outreach. So we made a physical USB stick. Yes, remember USB sticks that you used to stick in the side of the computer and with the data on it? So we made one of those. We put stock photography. So in our time, people were selling stock photography. Because I was a photographer, I had a whole bunch of shots. Let's just give some value. So we took all of the shots from all the suburbs that we had, loaded onto a USB stick, put that with some printed material, and we literally physically dropped this at offices. So most of the time, they probably took those brochures, chucked them directly in the bin. But what did remain was that USB stick, because there was some great value on there. People would use them, plug them in, and then when they were listing houses, they could actually use stock or location shots, as they called in the industry, and use them for years. I remember still seeing my photos for 10 years later still being used. What is the background of this? The first interaction with a customer isn't us trying to sell them. We're not going in and saying, hey, buy your thing, buy my thing. Try and provide value. So what we're doing is we're trying to help them. We're trying to give them location shots, something that was harder for them to get. We were delivering that by hand to them. They could use that straight away. And the question you need to ask yourself is, how are you going to stand out in your customer's mind? What can you do that leaves an impression on them so that they remember you? That's the first step, is we need people to remember who we are. What are the things you can do differently for all your competitors? So you need to show up physically as a SaaS. I think that is going to be something that you can really leverage to get an advantage. Now, what does that look like? Realistically, it's like, hey, Ken, yeah, cool, I'm going to show up physically. What does that look like? So what we need to do is find out where our target customer lives. Now, this is going to be very dependent on the type of business that they run. If you are creating a CRM for doctors or dentists, probably go into a dentist's office. Yes, it's scary. Yes, you're going to face rejection, but it's going to be worth your time, right? Your competitors may be doing this at a bigger scale later on in their life, but if they're startups, they're definitely not doing this. So get in there, talk to your customers. You're going to learn and you're going to meet people, and it's going to form your business. Highly, highly, highly recommend. We're doing this with Clipflow right now, and I am literally rocking up to business and filming them, helping them create content, and the relationship you form cannot be bought through an ad or anything like that. You're going to rock up to places where people aren't available, right? They're going to just not be there. It happens all the time. So we showed up without a booking. So what you're showing up unannounced. So people don't like this in general. So be aware of that. But we would go up to a real estate agency office, and then we'd ask to speak to someone who makes these kind of decisions, right? And usually you'd be hitting with the receptionist, and they'd just be blocking you saying you can't come in. So you need to be able to provide some sort of tangible value. This is what we did with the icebreaker. Here's what we do. Have a look at what we do. This is what we, have a chat, make a relationship. That is going to be the first relationship in. All right. Once you're in there, and obviously you've shown up unannounced, ask for the decision maker. Who is it that makes these decisions? Can I get a booking with them? Can I get a phone number? Can I get an email? Can I do something? How can I get in? They may be hesitant. They may not. Sales is a game of numbers. You're going to have to do a lot of numbers, and you're not going to get every single one. So you're going to have to put on your big boy pants. You're going to do it, but it's going to be definitely going to be worth your while. This is your priority. If you don't get customers, your business is not going to work. Full stop. It's just not going to happen. You're going to have a sad time. You're going to build this really cool system, and you're going to end up with nothing to show for it. So make sure you nail this. You need to do whatever is required to get your first customers. Write that down. Remember it. Put it on your wall. Make sure you get it done. All right. For those who are afraid to go outside, that's understandable. That's okay. The next one up is cold messaging on socials. So cold messaging on socials is one of the easiest ways to get your first customers, but there's 3 major mistakes that I see people doing. So let's chat through them. So the first one is using a company account, right? So a lot of people will use the brand, and they're like, for instance, for us, it would be using a Clipflow account rather than a Ken Grief account. That is just going to turn people off instantly. They're like, I'm being sold to, guards up. They're not interested, right? So use your own name and account when doing cold outreach on socials. Next one, posting on the wrong platform. You're going to end up posting, and none of your potential customers live on that platform, right? So you could be spending all your time on TikTok, but you're selling to business professionals and they just don't live there. So figure out where they live, and then make sure you're posting to the platforms where they actually are. So LinkedIn's a really good one, especially if you're doing B2B SaaS, which is highly recommended if it's your first rodeo. Make sure you're selling to businesses because they actually have money. Funny, you need to sell to people who have cash. But those on LinkedIn, people like to talk about their work, and LinkedIn has heaps of tools you can use and leverage to actually reach the right people. So make sure you're doing that. In platforms that Instagram does a good job of this, LinkedIn does a good job of this, is once you start following certain people, it's going to recommend more. So it's going to make it easier and easier to actually find them. So make sure you're posting on the right platform with the right tools so you can actually get and achieve your goals. This is the biggest one, right? This is the biggest point here that people make mistakes all the time, especially if you're inexperienced at sales, is they try and sell before connecting or creating a relationship, right? Here's an example of where playing the long game works. So I spoke to a creator, got turned down, obviously trying to talk to our product. Then he saw a paid ad of my personal channel, and then he saw that it had a big exit in the past. And obviously that made him interested in what I'd done, and we were able to have conversations, right? And this is just a way you can see, like, it takes time to build relationships with people. You're going to need to do that, right? It may not come from an ad, but follow them on their channels and figure out what they do and watch what they do and then comment on it, right? Like, just be a normal person. Don't try and just sell, hey, do you want to buy my thing? It's not going to work. So build a connection and a relationship. It's like a date or dating, right? You don't just go in hard the first time. You have to get to know someone. It's funny how many people do this and do it just so wrong. And you need to understand their pain points. What are they struggling with? So you can actually provide a solution or give them some sort of value. Hopefully you can give value before you even try and sell something. That would be ideal. You want to be real. And you want to find information about them because you also want to get them to talk about themselves. People like to talk about themselves. And over time, you can slowly work in your product or your solution if it makes sense. You don't have to sell everyone. Just remember that. You don't have to sell everyone. You might just be a really cool person that person then recommends to someone else. That's a win, right? Because referrals, super powerful. So what you need to figure out is how can you make your first customers love you so much that they end up referring you to everyone else? This is such a powerful mechanism, right? Raving fans are created when you care about their problems and actually want to connect and talk to them as a normal human being, right? Maybe you have similar pain points, like in your business, they're building a business, especially if you're B2B. How are you struggling with this? How are you finding this? What are you doing for this? And you could just end up with like having someone that's cool to chat to, right? Going above and beyond to help them solve them. So even if it's outside of what you do, how can you provide value? That is the key thing. I think if there's one thing in this whole video, it's like, how do you provide value? The most value that you can. All right. Next one up. Everyone's favorite. Who doesn't love getting a nice little spam email now and then? But cold email. Funnily enough, it's one of those tools that you can really leverage to get your first customers. Right now, you're going to be missing out on a bunch of customers who are ready to buy if you aren't doing this. Follow up with all your cold emails. All the ones, even if they didn't reply, do a follow-up reply. When we did this, we saw a massive uptick in actual response rates, right? The first email usually goes to deaf ears. It's just like, yeah, it's another spam email. But when you hit a reply and actually have a re, same subject, so the message comes below, and then you can see the new ones like, hey, just following up, made sure you saw this. Now they go, oh, it's a real person. I'm going to chat to them. Right? Way higher returns. If you don't do that second email, literally it's almost 100% fail. So there's a little story that we have here at Clipflow, which is a recent example of this, but it's the Daryl and the Kieran stories we refer. So Daryl sent an email to a creator a year ago, which literally landed on crickets. No one replied, nothing. This is a waste of time. Cool. Kieran then emailed this year, 1 year later, and got a reply. Massive creator. He just had seen the email, forgot to reply, moved on with his life, then got a reminder. This is what cold email can do. You can remind them. But there are 3 things we need to have in place so that we can actually nail these cold emails. So the first one is you're setting up the tools and the domains. So especially because we're in SaaS, we need to set up our actual emailing domains. And this is a little bit technical, but that's okay. So a common mistake that people do is get blacklisted on their primary domain. So for us, it'd be flow.co. We just get blacklisted. Good luck. Good night, sweet prince. You're not sending any more emails, and it could be your transactional emails, which is, forgot your password, sign in, register link, all that. Do not want that to happen. So what you need to do is register some either new domains or create subdomains. Realistically, I think get a new domain, warm it up, which means basically just send emails from it back and forth and get replies. So once that's all set up, you're good to go. Now, no one likes receiving generic emails, and especially if you're using some automation. I see this happen way too many times, like, hey, blank space, how's wrong business, you've lost me, instant delete. Yes, you can send 1,000, but none of them are going to convert. Make sure your emails are personalized. Yes, it takes longer. Yes, it's not scalable, blah, blah, blah. But it's way more powerful. Hey, I saw your thing here, saw how you handled this, saw this problem you're having, blah, 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 blah. Let me talk more about that. That's going to get a way better result. So choose your poison. I go for the personalized route. I think it's way more important. Now, the next point here that you want to make sure you're nailing is the email structure. So many people try and sell directly in the first email. I don't think that's a great idea. I think you do the same concept as like in DMs. You're going to try and reach out, sell, and it's just going to fail because you're just another salesperson. So try and provide something like a piece of value if you can. Here's a piece of information that can really help your business, depending on the tool you're making. You could implement it. It's basically free. Have it. Take it. It's great insights that we use here or we know that other customers use. You should implement it as well. It's going to get you a good result. You're building a relationship. Great. This is the biggest one for me is like I touched on already, but make sure you get the person's freaking name right. Get their name right. If you send me an email with the wrong name, I'm not even worse. You give me my last name. Hey, Grief, bro, you've lost me. See you later. Your emails need to be personal, right? Create a genuine connection. And then the next one here is what we're going to talk about is sequences, right? So you need to not just send one, you need to send a reply and then a third and a fourth. Keep sending replies so you can actually keep them interested. And you need to ensure you're doing these follow-ups. And allow time between them. Don't just instant send them, like give them some time so they like taper off. Like it could be one day, think that, have a look, experiment, but figure it out there. And then I love this one that Hormozy talks about, like at the end, so they just ghost you, send a meme. It's like, what's up, bro? Like, why are you not responding? Did you not see my email? That can work too. So play around. But those are the components of cold outreach. Now let's hit organic content. All right. So now you are going to be fighting an uphill battle every single day with cold outreach, with emails and DMs, if you are not doing this, right? Which is organic content. Because people just don't trust you, right? So you can fix this with organic content. This is what we need to be using. So you're a stranger to them in the beginning, which is standard. You're just some random bro just trying to reach out. And that's because people haven't seen you on your own content, right? We use organic content to create awareness and build our brand, which is just what people associate us with, right? So people are going to chuck your name into Google, ChatGPT. They're going to search it. They're going to see what comes up. Now, if you're doing a lot of organic content, that's going to be epic because then you're going to see YouTube videos come up. You're going to see Instagram. You're going to see LinkedIn. You're going to see all of this stuff and it's all going to be coming up and they're going to be able to research you. Because that's the first thing. Like, is this person trustworthy? Like, do I even want to talk to them? Are they a hacker? What are they trying to do? So get that right. Organic content is like a modern day business card. I love that analogy. That's what Daryl's kind of coined, and I really think it sticks. It's like, that's where people look. They're going to go, who is this guy? Cool. There's the content he makes. He's all right. He seems like a normal dude. I'll talk to him. So make sure you do that. People want to buy from people. So you need to build a personal brand and prove that you are an authority in your field. You need to show that you know what you're talking about, right? Have some proof, have some evidence. If you don't have proof yet, you are going to show how you are building proof or what you're doing to actually become an authority. That's really important. I even think that it's a really good play to build the connection before you have a product. So as a SaaS founder, you need to start building a personal brand so that when you are ready, you actually have an audience who care about you and what you do. If you don't do it, you're going to have a really hard time to actually get your product out there. In the end of the day, in this day and age, it's all about distribution. So make sure you're doing this step. Organic content is complicated though, and you can waste a lot of your time and money. So you need to find what content and platform has the highest return on investment for you. It's going to be different for everyone. It's going to be different depending on your business. So Instagram and LinkedIn are a great place to start with a very low barrier of entry, right? You don't have to know how the TikTok kids work, and Instagram has DMs, so you can actually chat to the people who follow you, which is a great way to talk. And LinkedIn is obviously for businesses, so there's a lot of business people on there. You can DM as well, which is great. So choose a platform you can consistently create on, and also a platform you're comfortable to reach out on. And then find out what you can commit to long-term, because organic content is a long-term play. Like everything in business, everything's a long-term play. Yes, I understand. But so is organic content. You're not going to really see results straight away. I mean, unless you have some magic sauce that you could DM me and let me know, or send it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. All right. Now, the question, I guess, is what content do I need to make? What do I need to talk about? That's going to be really important. So you need to figure out who your ideal customer is. Now, this is important for creating a business anyway. Do this before you try and think of the feature you're going to build. Who are you selling this thing to? It's a small reframe, but really helps build the right thing. And this is the same with content. So for me, if I was launching a agency to help people make content, because I'm making content right now, I would say, okay, well, I'm looking for small to medium businesses that starting to make content or showing interest in it, that got an Instagram page. They just don't have time. So I'm going to create ads and marketing and content around finding time to make content for that person. The underlying thing here is do stuff and talk about it. That's the easiest way to make content. Literally, what did I do? What problem did I solve? And then talk about it. So I solved this problem for this person, and this is what I did. So Go and do stuff. Get out there, solve problems for people, and film it. Very simple way to make content. And you can even just share how you overcame certain problems, right? Your own problems and lessons along the way. People love to see that. They love the story. If you can build a story in there, even better. And answer the questions of your customer that you want to build the product for, right? Very important. Organic content is extremely competitive. And as a founder, you may not have the time to learn the ropes. So what you can do is invest into someone who can help you make it. A head of content, someone you can bounce ideas off, especially if you're a VC funded SaaS. You've got some cash, use it for distribution. I highly recommend this. It makes it so much easier. Okay. And finally, on the little ladder here, we have paid ads. Now, paid ads create an enormous amount of leverage. Very powerful tool, but also can be very expensive. We burned $30,000 in a very short period of time and had wins and losses. And ads can either lose you a bunch of cash really fast, like it did to us, or they can make you a bunch of money. And the nice thing is once you have an ad strategy figured out, it just becomes a money printer. In the end of the day, it's not because ads don't work. It's just that people make these mistakes that we're just going to cover right now. But once you've figured out paid ads, they are a little money gun because you can say, I put this much money in, I get this much money out, and they scale super fast. They become relatively easy to handle. And if you're VC backed, you've got some coin, this is how you're going to leverage to the moon. So the first problem, especially with all the updates to the meta algorithms, is not enough ad options, right? So we're not putting enough creative out there. Now, this isn't just taking the same creative and changing the colors or just changing one word. Literally creating heaps of high quality ads and feeding it. You're going to need to create a lot of volume. So this is a full-time thing. You should really think about this for your business. And Meta really only cares about the creative now because they're going to assign creative to specific people. And the way that it used to work, Meta used to group people by interests and kind of create groups. Now Meta is hyper-personalized. Like Ken likes this thing. This thing. So when there's a new ad, he's like, he's probably going to like this thing based on machine learning, right? So you need to provide as much creative as you can so that it can give it to the right people at the right time. And it even knows on where you are in the funnel, which is insane. But make sure you're creating a lot of volume. So not enough ad options is going to hurt you when you're doing paid ads. Secondly, not understanding your audience. And this you can see is a common thread across all of these things. You need to understand the people, your customer that you're trying to sell to, right? Firstly, who am I talking to? Who's the person that I'm visualizing when I'm talking to through my ads? What are their pain points? You need to understand them thoroughly and clearly, what they actually care about, what pain they face, and then you can offer solutions in your ads. Ads are going to push on the pain and going to provide a solution. So focus on that. And then the final one that people don't do, which is also what we were doing so badly, so silly, but it's not tracking the winning ads correctly. Right? So making sure you're giving conversion events to Meta so that they know that the right person is doing and following the flow. So make sure you're tracking the ads clearly, what's actually reaching your ideal customer and what's converting. That's what we want to know, right? Use UTM params. If you don't know about UTM params, let me know. I can make a video on that and show you how we're using them inside of our system. But you need to make sure you're giving Meta the right data along the way so that they can make the right decisions on to find more people that are willing to follow that path. Very, very important, right? So you need to give the right signals to Meta so they can find you the right customer. Those are the three main pillars, and obviously there's a little bit inside of each one. Now you have no excuses. Go out and get your first customers.